These things are meant to be where they are. It's most powerful in the context of where it was. And the fact that it's an ordinary object sitting on a street corner in a town where people walk by it every day tells you that back in the 1830s and 1840s, that's exactly what was happening. People were walking by it every day and didn't give it, couldn't think of anything else about it. It was no big deal. It was part of life at the time. And from there until through the Civil War and on beyond that, a lot of people gave their lives, a lot of people sacrificed. It never happened again. And that's the story that tells us where it is. And now we want to move it, and we're now talking about, well, it could be damaged by the weather. There's every monument in this country can be damaged by the weather. I mean, that is really kind of taking a stretch. And then there's the issue of it can be damaged by people. And you know what? That is a concern, and I understand that concern. But at the same time, it bothers me that we are going to react to that, to allow people who still feel that what happened was not bad, and who still protest and do things about white supremacy and everything else like that. And we're basically saying, you know what, you guys win, we're going to take it away because we're afraid you're going to do something to it. I don't like giving into that. I really don't. What we're still going to do is we're still going to put something there to commemorate it. If we're going to do that, why move it? Seriously, why move it? It tells a story. Yes, it is painful. I acknowledge that. But there are some times that you need to see something, you need to feel that pain, and hopefully, again, you ask yourself a question. One, how did that happen? Why did that happen? And ultimately, what is my responsibility to make sure that never happens again? And that's something we need to pass on to each generation. Not put it away and say, oh, you know what, back in the 1830s and 1840s something happened, but you don't have to worry about that anymore. It's in a museum now, that's history, don't worry about it. It still happens today, and it can still happen again. And we have to be ever vigilant to make sure that doesn't happen.
I grew up here. I watched people spit on that block. Everything that folks don't talk about. There are stories of older folks talking about how they didn't know what they were doing, and people would give them a nickel to take a picture on it. You know, it's a mockery. I have video, it's still in my iPad, of when some guys did a mock auction. It was 3 white guys, 1 black guy, and they came out of the bar one night, and I got it on video. I mean, they did an auction. They did a fake auction, and the black guy stood on the block, and they auctioned him off, fun and games, you know, and that's the reality of, so, you know, what I've seen over my life. So I'm going to just throw a couple words into the kids. There's no cuss words or nothing. A lot of kids may not understand it. Some of the kids are in here, but I'm going to tell you some of the words that I just wrote down about what that block represents. And I'm going to just throw the words out there. Blood, separation, pain, rape, murder, control, ownership, and not being human beings. And that's what that block represents to a lot of people. And I'll leave it at that. It's serious, and I believe that the second part of everything that we worked on as a council, everybody on council knows, and the city knows, I didn't go around for 2 years, I was mellow, you know, I was cool. I had my opinion on it, and I didn't force my opinion. I respectfully had a conversation with everybody. I didn't force my view on anybody. I was like, you know, I'm sitting in this spot, there's an opportunity to try to take a stab at this, and that's what I did. And like I said, I didn't try to say, hey, you're wrong. I never had one ill conversation with anybody on council saying, just because you didn't agree with me 2 years ago. I do believe that through dialogue, or, you know, I do believe that that's what helped folks change their mind. Not because of me, it was because of just talking to others. And I believe that we're in a great place for something new. And Mr. Kelly, if we're the most historic city in America, you know what I'm saying? So that's so if you were asked a lot of folks around America, what's the story of Fredericksburg? And then what stories would you get about African Americans? You know, so you talk about the war, and we talk about buildings with cannonballs stuck in the side of them and all kinds of stuff. And we talk about folks suiting up in 100-year-old clothes and redoing a war. For tourism. But if you ask folks around America, the same folks, ask them about what, they can't tell you anything else besides what you said, exactly what you read. They can't tell you anything besides, oh, there's a slave auction block on William Street, and that's a great thing. And if you get there was a news article, there was a news caption, and they showed the, no disrespect to the trolley or whatever, the folks, how they presented. They went down the street and it was on the news. They went down the street, and to your left, ladies and gentlemen, an actual slave auction block. Yes, that's right, folks. Slaves were sold there. And that's how we're going to portray ourselves to the rest of the world. So I believe going to the museum is exactly where it needs to be. We have our own museum, luckily, it's in the city of Fredericksburg, and we can tell that story. We can have a marker out there, and we can direct folks over there. It's not fair for, and I understand, like I said, not to diverge from the history part, it's not fair for a family to go across the street and have a slice of pizza, or maybe down the street and have some ice cream, and then go down trying to cross the street and bust into tears at the corner. It's not fair to that family who doesn't know what they're walking up on. So